Hi guys, welcome back to the James Bond Show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie, with no fears, limits, or substitutes. Now guys, this episode I'm doing my Skyfall review. First of all, I just want to say a big thank you to all the newest subscribers that have joined the James Bond Show, and thank you so much for your kind comments as well. Guys, if you have any questions for the Kajeevie for my next session of Q&A with Krazy K, please email me at thejamesbondshow@gmail.com. So email your questions to thejamesbondshow@gmail.com and I will answer your questions in the next session. Now, some people emailed me last time. I've been so busy with work, I have written down those questions from people, so I haven't forgotten. Even if you emailed me, guys, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I will be responding in my next edition. Also, what I'd like to do is just send a quick apology. I let people know that I was going to be doing a very special video on my thoughts on the whole coronavirus pandemic, or as I call it, the plandemic. It's something from my heart that I really want to talk about, that I really want to expose. It involves Donald Trump, it involves Bill Gates, it involves the elites, and it involves the absolute truth of what is really going on. Now, I said that video would be coming last Monday. I've just been too busy to do it. So, for those that subscribe hoping to see this video, stay tuned. It is coming. Please just bear with me. Now, I'm not going to do the normal memorabilia show that I do at the each film review, because I did a Skyfall collector's pieces review quite recently. So what I will just quickly show is there's the kind of steel case Skyfall DVD cover and a little Skyfall promotional piece, which I think you guys have seen before, and a little silver case that I have there, and I put that in my display. So that's basically it. Now, this is going to be a big review, so I'm going to get right into it. So, okay, let's get cracking with this one, guys. Skyfall 2012, directed by Sam Mendes, had a budget of $200 million. It made $1,109,000,000, so $1,109 million at the box office, and it was the highest grossing James Bond film in history at the box office, as well as Blu-ray and DVD release. It had a runtime of 2 hours and 24 minutes, so it was quite a long James Bond film, directed by Sam Mendes, and the cinematographer was Roger Deakins, screenplay John Logan, as well as Purvis and Wade. They were back to do this one as well. Now, Skyfall came out for the 50th anniversary. From 62 to 2012, we got the 50th anniversary, and this was the film. The film came out 4 years after the very disappointing Quantum of Solace. So, because that film came out and it was really disappointing, the next one was hyped to be the big thing, and so many people wanted to like this film. But before I get into what I think of Skyfall, let's go through the story. So an MI6 agent, a former MI6 agent, has stolen files with all the name of MI6 agents who are embedded around the world, and he's got this list and got these names, and also the list of where they are and what they're doing, and he threatens to release this. Basically, this is pure blackmail of this malicious character in the shadows against M, the head of the MI6. So James Bond is off to investigate and find this list, find out who's got the list, where the list is, and basically to get the list. The film starts off with a fantastic pre-title sequence, which is Sam Mendes described like a Russian doll, like a babushka doll. Like, you open up and there's one layer, then there's another layer, then there's another layer. So we start off with Bond coming up to frame. Now, I've got to mention on this, there is no gun barrel logo here. I don't care who Sam Mendes is. Yes, he was an Oscar-winning director for American Beauty. I don't care who you are. You need to have the gun barrel logo at the start of a James Bond film. Now, Sam Mendes' excuse was it didn't fit his shot of Bond. So when I saw this in 2012, I saw it at the cinema. Now, 2012 was a ridiculous busy year for me. So I actually only saw Skyfall once at the cinema. It's the least I've seen any James Bond film. Actually, Die Another Day I saw once as well because I could not go through that again. Skyfall, I didn't go back to. I was incredibly busy, and I'll explain more later when I talk about my thoughts of this film. But the film doesn't start with the gun barrel logo, and I think that's just so wrong. All they had to do was gun barrel logo, boop, 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 open up, boom, on Bond's face. You pull out, and you're with him, and you pull out and you leave him in the corridor. Then he comes back up into frame. That's all that needed to be done. There is no excuse. A director of the James Bond films shouldn't, and the gun barrel logo shouldn't fit around what a director's vision is. The director's vision has to come in place with the James Bond tropes, specifically the gun barrel logo. And the producers, and you all out there know I've got a very big issue with Barbara Broccoli. It was the producers that allowed Sam Mendes to get off with this. And this is basically the third film in a row, Daniel Craig's third film, where we don't get the gun barrel logo at the start of the film, apart from the Casino Royale one, which wasn't right at the start of the film. It was at the end of the pre-title sequence, which is fair enough. That worked. I can understand it because it was his initiation as a 00. So fine, not a problem. We can all forgive Skyfall for that one. But Quantum of Solace and then Skyfall for not having this is just wrong. Sorry guys, I mean, we can all forgive, Casino Royale for not having the gun barrel logo. A little tired, bear with me, been a long day today. 9-hour shift again, but I want to get this Skyfall review out. So, James Bond, during this chase, he chases a badass character. We don't know much about this character. They end up on a bike chase. This guy's apparently got the file. Bond's there with Ronson. Ronson's bleeding. M orders him to go and chase after this villain that we don't know much about. And he gets into a Jeep. The Jeep has a black lady in it named, well, we don't find out her name till later apart from Eve. We don't find out her surname. And she's cool. She's really cool. She's funky. She's hip. And their Bond and Eve's camaraderie, the dialogue between them is really, really good. It's a lot of fun. Now, what happens is, turns into a motorbike chase in Turkey, across the rooftops in Turkey, and across the rooftops of the Grand Bazaar, and in the Grand Bazaar, and all through the Grand Bazaar. And if you're not familiar, the Grand Bazaar is actually one of the biggest markets in the world. It's absolutely huge, and can take days, apparently, to get through. So they have this filming sequence, the bike chase through the Grand Bazaar, and the stunts are fantastic. Also, the look-alike, it was actually a Australian motorbike or motocross racer that doubled as James Bond in here. And the stunt work is fantastic, and the cinematography, the shot composition is all great. James Bond ends up on top of the train chasing this guy. He ends up inside. Wow, he's basically inside a big, what are they called, like a big crane type thing, and he rips apart the train. He jumps in the train. He's still trying to chase this guy. He gets shot as well, and then they end up on top of the roof. Conveniently, there's a chain on top of the roof. Anyway, Eve Moneypenny gives chase as well, and with the words of M, take the bloody shot. She decides to shoot, even though she tells him she doesn't have a clean shot. She hits Bond. He falls into the river off this bridge, and we presume he's dead. Of course, we know he's not dead because this is just the start of the film. And then Adele's Skyfall song comes in. Then we get into the rest of the film, and we're introduced to Ray Fiennes' character Mallory. And Mallory doesn't take too well to Bond, and Bond doesn't take too well to him. And I have to say, one of my favourite lines, I don't know why, I think it's the way Daniel Craig performs it. In this film, it's one of my favourite Daniel Craig moments of him in the film, where he says, hire me or fire me. it's up to you. And I just think it's so good, and it shows this, yeah, he kind of wants to be there, but at the same time, it kind of reminds me of like, well, stuff you, like Timothy Dalton in The Living Daylights. If he fires me, I'll thank him for it. And he just looks at him here and says, hire me or fire me. It's completely up to you. And there's great tension here, and it's really well directed. In this film, M is finally loyal to James Bond. She's loyal to him through the entire film. And I think they got the hint that her M in Quantum of Solace was just, didn't make sense, was almost bipolar, schizophrenic. But this time they've got a good relationship, and she's backing him even though he failed these fitness tests. So Bond goes off to Macau in China, and the cinematography here by Roger Deakins is wow, 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 bing, 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 brilliant. This is, woo, my good bing, 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 bing meter goes off on this one. Absolutely fantastic. His cinematography, and it's not only Roger Deakins. One thing that, if you guys don't know, Roger Deakins doesn't just do the lighting. He is a cinematographer who does the camera operating as well. He is massive on camera operating. Now, the sequence where James Bond chases Javier Bardem's character, Silva, which I'm going to get to a bit later, but I just want to mention this, where they're in the subway section and Bond's going down. He slides down, which I think we've all wanted to do, the escalator in the train station. Roger Deakins is on that slant, on a chair, special harnessing with the camera, filming that. That is how dedicated he is to getting the frame exactly right. And I've seen the image. I actually found it tonight when I was looking up images for the thumbnail here tonight. So the guy's just so hands-on. And of course, this guy shot The Shawshank Redemption. So Roger Deakins, genius. Okay, so I'm going to get through this a bit fast. Bond ends up tracking down Silva. The introduction to Silva, again, the shot composition here and the cinematography is brilliant, but Sam Mendes has to get massive credit for it, because this is about what the director wants and how he brings this character in. And Javier Bardem as Silva here is just chilling. So we then see Silva's character, he gets captured, he ends up in London, he ends up escaping, he ends up trying to track down Bond. Bond gets M, gets her into the Aston Martin, makes a comeback here. They drive off to Scotland and they go to Skyfall. Now, Skyfall, the title of this film, is in fact James Bond home in Scotland where he grew up. M and Bond meet Kincaid, who was the former servant there or groundskeeper there of the house. The guns and weapons and other things have been sold except for James Bond's father's gun. And in this film, what they do beautifully here is they actually bring back great pieces of Fleming, and they show the gravestone which kills off this absolute bollocks codename theory. They show the gravestone of Monique Delacroix and Andrew Bond, who are James Bond's parents. Even M talks to Bond about Bond's parents being killed in a rock climbing accident, which, in true tough gritty Fleming form, which James Bond does do a lot of in this film, he basically doesn't want to talk about it. He says to M, you know how my parents died, you know the story. And it's like, okay, let's not go there anymore. Okay, there's a big shootout. Silva basically tracks down, with the help of Q, who I'm going to talk about in a moment, with the help of Q leading some breadcrumbs, Silva and his goons turn up at Skyfall, and we've got a big Home Alone shootout. Okay, so there's booby traps, explosions, and M's involved, Kincaid's involved, he comes out shooting, Bond's shooting. The cinematography here is incredible. The special effects here are incredible. Now, I'm not talking visual effects, I'm talking special effects. I'm talking on-set special effects with model miniatures, explosions mixed with beautiful lighting, the whole lot. Now, the helicopter model miniature here was on a massive scale, as well as in doing a full-scale Skyfall home, which they built, and a massive model miniature to suit the size of the epic size helicopter which they exploded into the house. The sound design here is absolutely fantastic. and Thomas Newman's score is not too bad in this bit. So, now, if you haven't seen Skyfall, guys, and I'm guessing most of you have, if you haven't, massive spoiler here, so you've been warned. If you don't want to listen to this spoiler and you're just kind of discovering Skyfall now, you know, about, what, 8 years later, then skip this bit. So, Em gives herself away with Kincaid. She's been shot. She goes off into the night trying to escape. And this is a head of MI6, and she's got a torch. Okay, so of course, Silver sees her. He chases her. He ends up... well, she's already injured because she got shot in the house. And he ends up trapping her. James Bond comes in behind Silver, throws a knife in his back. Glass rat standing. Boom. Silver dies. Bond is there with M, and M dies. The end of the film comes when we've got James Bond on the top of a rooftop, the top of the MI6 rooftop. Moneypenny comes to him, brings him a gift from, or in the will of M, and it is the bulldog, the little bulldog statue that she would have on her desk. And then Bond goes into Eve's office, and he says, we haven't been properly introduced. And she says, oh, my name's Eve Moneypenny. And the big reveal is she's Miss Moneypenny. And then Bond goes into M's office, who is now Mallory. Mallory is now M, of course, so Ray finds as the new M. The office looks absolutely stunning. This is Sam Mendes taking us back to old school James Bond interior, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And basically M says to Bond, you ready to get started, 007? And James Bond says, with pleasure, M, with pleasure. Boo, 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 boo. And then the gun barrel logo comes across, and we are ready for the next James Bond film. Now, what do I think of Skyfall? Because so far, it sounds like I've probably pumped the tyres, etc. Okay, Skyfall is the most underrated, polished turd I've ever seen in the James Bond film canon. Now, I'm sorry to say, okay, this is the James Bond film that you're supposed to like, because this is the sophisticated James Bond film, and I bet I fooled you all because you thought I loved the film. Now listen, visually this film is stunning. The minds, the thought and everything that went into it to make it what it is, I respect that. I also respect people who like this film. Okay, but this film has barely any action in it. The action of the pre-title sequence is the set piece of the film. Out of 2 hours and 24 minutes, we never get that action again. The other main action scene in the entire film is at the end of the film, at the Skyfall shootout with the big helicopter and the shootout between Bond and Silver's men. Those are the two main action scenes. In between that, we have a very choreographed, hidden in shadows fight scene between Bond and the bad guy played by Ola Rapace. And you can't tell who's who, and it's kind of a wannabe Bourne stylized fight, but it is so choreographed. It's not funny, and it's just so unrealistic. And then we end up meeting Severine. Now, the scene here between Bond and Severine, played by Berenice Marlowe, this is my favourite Daniel Craig scene in this film. But to me, Daniel Craig in this film is absolutely dull as dishwater. Now, he was dull, hardcore, crazy in Quantum, I get it. But in this film, I just don't see any character or character development. But in this scene with Severine, he's actually interesting. And I wanted more of this James Bond instead of the one that, yes, let's do it later, or Skyfall, when he's being tested by the psychologist. Done. And walks out. He's so, like, walking through this film like he's some kind of modern day cowboy. And I just find it ultra bland. Now, when people say Skyfall is the best James Bond film and this is how a James Bond film should be, okay, what I want you all, if you're a Skyfall fan, what I want you to do over this, if you can, because we're all basically in lockdown around the world, the next couple of days, I want you to get 2 James Bond films in your hand on DVD. I want the first one to be For Your Eyes Only. Put it in, sit there and watch For Your Eyes Only. The second one, I want you to play Skyfall. If you can, directly after For Your Eyes Only. For Your Eyes Only is everything a James Bond film should be. Slight elements of humour, probably sometimes a little too much with the whole Blofeld type thing. Oh, Mr. Bond, I'll buy you a delicatessen in stainless steel. But it is filled with action. There's humour, there's toughness, there's grittiness, there's intrigue, there's incredible locations. Not just, I'm sorry, but boring turkey again for the third time. There's ski chases, car chases, submarine chases, rock climbing. There is everything. You watch For Your Eyes Only, and it is just 2 hours of absolute Bond epicness. And you put on Skyfall, you've got 2 main action scenes. You've got no James Bond theme in this film. There's basically no James Bond film once again until the end. And again, this is Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson pushing some agenda that every piece of music now has to sound like when Batman came out in 2005, and we had the score by, oh sorry guys, just mental blank here. Of course, we all know David did Gladiator, and he's doing the new James Bond score. I've just gone total mental blank, and I'm sure 100 of you will put it in the comments, and I'll think of it before then anyway. But ever since he did, Hans Zimmer. Ever since Hans Zimmer did the Batman score in 2005, and then with James Newton Howard, I think it was, and Hans Zimmer both did the Batman score for The Dark Knight Rises. Boom, 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 boom. You know, one will do action scenes, Hans Zimmer would do the action scenes, and James Newton Howard would do the dialogue scenes and the other scenes in between. And ever since then, every Hollywood film sounds like those scores. They really do. It's those kind of kettle drums or boom, 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 boom. And they all kind of roll into one and they sound the same. Even the Marvel films have that same kind of format. And here with Skyfall, we've got a soundtrack that could be in any film, not just a James Bond film. And of course, Newman repeated this again in Spectre, which I'll get to obviously in my next review. So I find the music pretty bland and pretty boring. Now, the Skyfall song by Adele deserved the Oscar. It is one of my favourite James Bond themes. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Now, back to Berenice Marlowe as Severine. Again, we get no James Bond girl in this film. None. She's in it for a bit and she is smoking hot. She is sexy. There's intrigue about her. She's gorgeous, even though she's not wearing a backless, strapless dress, which that dialogue makes absolutely no sense. Did they actually have a look at the dress she was wearing? But she's full of intrigue and she's really interesting. Then we get another fight scene, so there's basically like 2-3 fisticuff fight scenes, and then when Silver escapes. Now actually I want to touch on something with Silver. So James Bond is numero uno, number 1 agent. How come he's never heard of this agent? How is Javier Bardem, who's obviously Mexican, how is he a British secret agent? Like, please tell me. Now, you can say a Mexican or whatever can be British, sure, they're born in England, whatnot. This guy has no British accent. It's not a British accent. Maybe he tries it to be a bit, but it's not. So for him to be a British agent, I just find this incredible. And then he's a Mexican posted in China and he got up to some bad stuff, blah, blah, blah. Now, while I'm on Javier Bardem, I do want to say that Silver is one of the best James Bond villains we're probably ever going to see. He's incredible, but we meet him about 90 minutes into the film, or it's at least 60 minutes, or whatever it is, into the film. So I find that his character is so chilling, incredible, and we don't get to see enough of him. Now, when he's in England, the entire thing is about convenience. This could be called either Sky Ball or it could be Convenience Fall. This is all about convenience, and people bag Spectre for the brothers thing. The brothers thing is such a small part of Spectre. And they're not brothers. And when Blofeld says, and I'll get to this when I do my Spectre review, but when he says, my brother, my baby brother, when he's talking to Madeline and, you know, kind of talking to Bond at the same time, it's sarcasm. They're not really brothers. People go, oh, they stole the Austin Powers thing and they're brothers. They're not brothers. But this film can get off with convenience that Javier Bardem's character Silva is going to get captured, break out of prison. Bond is going to stand there, recognize numbers, digits, that he's going to escape, that was planned. Then he's going to get down to the underground section, get through the right door, and Silver's going to be right there as Bond's going to be there, and he's going to go, that's for you, and a train's going to crash in. A train that is an obvious model miniature and has no passengers on it during London's peak hour in the tube. Okay? The film really falls down here. This is where the film falls down. And then Silver's man, one of his henchmen is here, and Silver's here, and he just has the right timing, crosses paths, and gives him a little package, and he's got the jacket and the outfit, the police stuff on. It's all convenience. And then Silver is chasing the breadcrumbs, and he's going from England to Scotland in a massive helicopter. And are you telling me the British Air Force or Scottish Air Force or whatever aren't tracking this massive army helicopter down and they're not going to destroy it? And James Bond, honestly, is going to take the head of MI6M to his home and then keep her there when he discovers there's no guns. Now, you got no guns, but you got about 15 guys filled with guns. So why doesn't Bond, Kincaid and M stay in the DB5? Why aren't they in that DB5? It's bulletproof. It's got machine guns. But what do? They turn the film into Home Alone and they hide inside, and then M, the head of MI6, escapes with a torch. With a torch, so everyone can see her. Again, this is about convenience. And for people to say this film is genius and it's brilliant, no, it's not. It lacks James Bond tropes and it lacks any cohesion. It lacks common sense, and it is all about convenience. There's no real gadgets apart from the DB5. We've got Q back, and this time he's apparently spotted face, even though his skin looks clearer than a baby's bum 2 weeks after it's born. But hey, apparently he's got a spotted face. Now, there is great camaraderie here between Ben Whishaw and Daniel Craig. I do like that. Obviously, I prefer Desmond Llewellyn's Q, an older Q, but I can understand why they've gone with a younger Q here. But this, again, there's parts of this film, especially in the fight scenes, that it's trying to be like a Jason Bourne film again, and it doesn't feel like a Bond film. Now, when I saw the film, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but there was something about it that wasn't right, and that is one of the reasons I didn't go back to see it. I had to really think about the film, but I knew in my guts, I wanted to like it, but I knew in my guts there was something really wrong with it. And what that is, this is not a James Bond film. It's just not. Does Daniel Craig bring in elements and strong elements of Ian Fleming's James Bond? Yes, he does, absolutely. I agree with that. When you go to the novels, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on Daniel Craig personally, or you don't like him as Bond, he does bring Ian Fleming's Bond from the novels into the films. And so I appreciate that from him and also the writers doing this. But it's so filled with convenience, and I find it a very long, boring film in parts. So I'm sorry guys, I just don't rate this like a lot of people do. But like I said, do the test. Watch For Your Eyes Only, which is the most serious, arguably the most serious Roger Moore film. Watch that, then watch Skyfall. And get back to me in the comments section and let me know what you think. Guys, if you've liked this review, please drop a thumbs up or like. Leave me a comment if you don't like it and you're like, Krazy K, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. But guys, what I ask you to do, in the comments, don't just write your review. I want you to tackle the points I made here. Let's have a discussion. Let's actually have a discussion. Don't just blast your review out. Actually talk about the points I brought up here. Because I want this to be a discussion, like a debate, right? So tackle my comments. The film is filled with convenience. Bond's character is very bland and boring, and the M scene, her death scene, there is no emotion there. In fact, I'll be really honest, back in 2012 when I watched this at the cinema, I was like, yes, she's dead, because I couldn't stand her M. It wasn't emotional. I thought it was really badly filmed. I thought the shot composition there was wrong. I thought there needed to be more death from M. She was just like... It's like she fell asleep, like she had one too many shandies at an old age home and she fell asleep. It wasn't like she really died, so I didn't like that. The best part of this film, apart from the PTS and the Severine scene, the best part of this film for me was the final two scenes where we see Moneypenny is back, and this is the world's greatest secret agent and he doesn't know her surname. Interesting. And then we see Bond and M again. Yes, and that for me was the best scene in the entire film, and I had to wait 2 hours 24 minutes for the best scene in the film for me. So guys, that is my review of Skyfall. Love to read your comments. Please like, please subscribe, and I am going to give it out. I understand, yes, it's a technically beautiful film, but as far as a James Bond film, out of 7 Kajeevie stars, I'm giving Skyfall... I'm going to give it, honestly, I was going to give it 2.5. I'm going to give it 3. It's below halfway for me. I'm going to give it 3 stars because I think this film is now also being found out. I think less people love this film, and it really is, it's the modern day GoldenEye. When GoldenEye came out, that's the younger people's film. They grew up in Pierce Brosnan, they played the video game, they got into GoldenEye. Skyfall, with all the hype and with the Olympics coming and all that sort of stuff happening, it was all, and the 50th anniversary and the marketing campaign and everything, it was Skyfall, Skyfall, Skyfall. And the media pushed this because also left-wing commentators that would normally speak down and against Bond suddenly liked this film because the real sexist, misogynist dinosaur that we love was not in this film. He was pushed out of this film. The fun was pushed out of this. You know, there's not much fun in this film either. So, guys, that's what I think. I'm going to give it 3 Kajeevie stars out of 7, and that's my review. Till next time, keep on bonding and say hi to your mum for me.